What's happening? This is Ryan Dawkins, and you're tuning in to The Loft.
Have brought out the best of me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Loft. If you guys are new here, please like, comment, subscribe, and if you're not new, welcome back. Today, joining us in The Loft, I have a very special guest. He's a good friend of mine, touring DJ. He's the man. His name is Martin, the Renaissance Man. Welcome to the pod, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Pim. Absolutely. It's definitely long overdue. We've been wanting to do this for a minute. Finally got some time to sit down and chat and all that, because we've been hanging out a lot recently. You know, we've been going to, like, you took me to like Hoboken one time. You know, we've been hanging out. You know, when we're not DJing, we've been visiting each other and shit like that. So it's good to just chop it up with you, bro. And I know you have a really cool story, and I love what you do. I love your hustle grind. You know, you motivate me a lot in my grind. So I'm definitely down to just chop it up and, yeah, talk it up, brother.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah. So first off, how was your weekend? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. This past week, I was in Philly all week, which has been a rarity as of late.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun to, like, be, you know, back home, just around the people. Like, I felt like I saw majority of the people that I would have wanted to see, and it was just nice to, like, reconnect. It felt like just.
I know you've been traveling a lot. You know, it's one thing. It won't be a full DJ pod, but it'll start off that way. But you know, for anyone who doesn't know Martin's a DJ in Philly, super talented producer, makes amazing remixes, edits, great energy guy when he's DJing. But so you've been traveling a lot, and I know, like, as like someone like who's hustling and all that, it could definitely take a lot out of you. But I was gonna say, so when you were starting out, like, in the scene, where are you from? I know you have a very complex history of, like, where you're from, but where are you originally from?
So I am originally from the Chicago area. I was born in the Chicago area, raised outside of Chicago for the first 10 years of my life. And then I moved to Oregon. I lived there for 2 years. That was a very interesting transition. And then 2 years later, I moved to New Jersey. New Jersey is where I kind of started to gain interest in nightlife and in DJing, because at the time, they had a very bolstering teen nightlife scene. So as a teenager, I started to go to these, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's like this music, all this stuff I haven't heard before. I'm like, I want to learn to DJ, and that's kind of where that started.
Nice. Yeah. And how old were you when you kind of got into it?
First club that I walked into, I was 14 years old, and immediately from there I became a promoter, and immediately from there I started teaching myself how to DJ.
Nice. That's dope. What kind of get these questions out the way, but what kind of made you fall in love with it? Why'd you love it so much?
You know, I've always had such a great passion for music. It started when I was 2 years old with my mom playing songs in the car, and I think it developed more with Guitar Hero, funny enough. It's funny because more and more artists these days say that, but I think for people of our specific generation, that's kind of a breaking point, because it's like, it was another way to get introduced to music, and then Guitar Hero made me look up these songs on YouTube. And looking up songs on YouTube became music discovery for me. Yeah. And music discovery is where I was able to have my own terms of falling in love with music, not just through radio. And obviously, I love the music on the radio. But, you know, when you start to find artists that resonate with you, you dig into their discographies. I think that's where the true love for music can really flourish.
Yeah. Was there an artist specifically that you, like, fell in love with?
So my first band was Linkin Park. Linkin Park was my first band. I really just loved their music. I don't know what it stuck out to me, but it was Linkin Park. The second one was Green Day.
So you're like a rock.
First thing was rock, and then Ludacris stood out to me a lot. I went through his entire discography. Like, my favorite Ludacris song is Southern Hospitality. But yeah, so I started off in rock, and then I got into hip hop. And then it was when I went to my first club that electronic music became something I was more aware of.
Nice. And then so obviously got into the hip hop scene a little bit, and then so now for people who watch and listen to you, like you are making a lot of like throwback pop hits, but like into like house or EDM.
Yeah.
When did you really start to like dive into like the production aspect of things?
So I actually started producing. How old am I? I started producing 8 years ago. I've been making and writing music for a long time, but I always kind of had like a bit of struggles with creating house specifically, because I used to like make future bass and like other stuff like that. But recently things have kind of like aligned and come together where I've just been able to start working on them on a better and more consistent basis. And I really just wanted to like make remixes of the songs that I want to be playing. When I was playing in frat houses, like I could play the original of Let It Rock, Kevin Rudolph, and it would go off. But it's like 113. It's like a little. So like it's still an epic song, but it's like I'm gonna remix it, and that's like that was the first remix I put out because I love that song, and I just knew it was something that the people needed. Yeah,
it's a good way to frame it, because I think like this year I noticed you've really been hitting production, and I started diving in as well, and it's like the biggest tip that I picked up like through just what I've researched is like just making shit you want to play, and that's because you always want to play your own shit if it sounds good, and it's like all right, like that kind of makes more sense. And so when you were you really fell in love with it in Jersey, correct? That's when you fell in love with the DJing, right?
Yes.
And before that, what were you doing before that? Were you in school at all?
Yeah. I mean, I was a child.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
So what? Can you reframe the question?
Yeah. So you were before New Jersey.
Yes.
Where are you at before that?
I was in Oregon.
Oregon. Okay. How old were you in Oregon?
I was 10 to 12.
Oh shit. Okay. And then so you moved to so you've been in Jersey for a while then.
Yeah.
And then where are your roots at in Toronto? I know you mentioned Toronto as well.
So my mom was born in Manchester, England. I have dual citizenship. I'm American and British.
Oh, look at that.
When she was 8, she moved. Her and her family moved to Toronto. So my entire mom's side of the family, which is really big, lives in Toronto.
Oh hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hype. And so before you obviously you got into the DJing stuff, did you have any idea of like what you wanted to do? I think about this all the time, but did you have something that you wanted to do other than that?
I always wanted to perform and create. I don't know. I think I had this like calling at a young age. I think it was always a figuring out thing, but Guitar Hero, I was so passionate about it that I wanted to start learning guitar, and my parents like, we're not going to get you guitar unless you do a band instrument. I was like, okay. So I picked up the trumpet, and then I did good at the trumpet, so I got a guitar, and I was like writing crappy songs even at 10 years old, and I think I always knew that I wanted to do this. I didn't know I could do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was actually when I got to high school, obviously I was like I was teaching myself to DJ, I was doing it, but I thought I was going to go to school for film. I was looking at USC and all these other spots, and it was, I think, late 2014, maybe early 2015. I think the DJing like had picked up, and I just was like, I could probably do music for my life if I want to. Yeah. And we started to look at like music schools, music business schools. I interned at Def Jam Records that summer. I'm the only high school student they've ever taken. I'm very blessed for that.
We can get into that too.
But that's kind of where like I pivoted And I was like, okay, you know what? This is like, I could just pursue it. I can just do what I want. So
right.
let's go full force, figure things out, and like try and not chase the dream, but like, let's make it a reality.
Yeah.
Like all I have to do is put in work, and I can probably do this.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because a lot of times people, especially growing up younger, you always get taught and molded to like have to, do your 9-to-5 job, do the usual stuff. I mean, my parents always wanted the best for me. They sent me to Temple for college, and like I'm grateful for doing it, but like I knew I hated it. And yeah, it's weird because like life always tries to put you in that box or bubble, but it's cool for when you kind of take it in and be like, you know what, I need to like take this risk. I'm gonna dive into this. And like for you, it was music and stuff like that, and it's cool to like see it come to fruition, because obviously it can be tough because you have the financial barriers and like life. But when did that so when did you really begin to dive into that? Because I think it's cool. I think it's a lot of people like need to hear shit like that, where it's like, especially nowadays, ever since COVID, shit completely changed. But when did you really start to like really make that a reality?
Yeah. One thing I want to say about the last thing was like, like my parents, like we toured Ivy League colleges. Like I think they wanted me to be a lawyer, anything. Obviously, like, I think a lot of parents have expectations for their kids. They want to just see them succeed, make money, and like be able to live a better life.
Yeah, and in the way in the way that they know how.
In the way that they know how.
Yeah.
And I think for me it was like I had this thing I enjoyed, this hobby that was kind of floating throughout my entire life, and then there was just like, oh, I could probably just pursue it. I think if there's something that you resonate with or something that you love deeply, like kind of like dig into it. Think about how you could make this something more. I mean, some people have like things they really like and they just want to keep it a hobby, and that's okay. But if you like truly believe like this is something you want to do, I think that you have a duty to yourself to try and see it through.
Yeah, so I actually agree with that, because I have a few examples of that, which I've even in the past few years I've realized. So it kind of similar to you is like, for me, like DJing's always kind of floated throughout my life. You do private events for family members and shit like that, and then you kind of look at yourself, all right, like, can I do this full time? And you start taking those steps. But a really good example that I'll give you is my friend Jordan Spector. He literally makes art for a living. Like he started off, he showed me some of his first drawings, and they were like war scenes, but they're like really like just basic drawings. And Jordan now does art for Devontae Smith and like all these athletes around the country. And my point being for that is, it started off as a hobby, and to himself, it's like, yo, how can I evolve this? Obviously, it comes with doing maintaining your craft and building that up. But once you get that to a point, it's like, okay, like, can I make stuff for athletes? And then you start reaching out to the athletes, and then they start doing deals with you, and it's like the consistency and the progression, and also like, kind of thinking to yourself like, can I do this? And if you can, just taking a shot at it, seeing what happens. And like, I think nowadays with the world we live in, it's okay to take risks. If that makes sense. But yeah, and so when did you really start to see it pay off for you? Like, when did you really be like, you know what, like, all right, like, I'm doing this shit? Like,
yeah, it's a really good question. No, I might blab a little, but
of course.
When I got to school, I was around more like-minded people, and I don't think everyone needs college. I think there's a beauty to it. I think you can find community online. Think about how many people just find community online. I mean, even now out of college, like, I connect with people online. We're on Discords, we're on Zoom, and like, we talk about what we want to do. We talk about this thing that we love and how we want to do it. And I think human beings are community-driven people. I think it's important to try and find that community. There's so many resources, and like, there's people on YouTube telling you how to do anything and everything, and all those people are also trying to create a community. So don't be afraid to reach out to any of those people. But once I kind of started to have that community, I just felt more driven to like do this. You know, I used to be a really disorganized person.
Yeah.
But when I got to school, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I probably should get organized. I don't think this, like, I feel like, I don't know, it like becoming an adult kind of clicked.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we got to get things in order. Now, not my entire life isn't in order, but I'm very good at scheduling.
Yeah.
I live by my calendar, and I can get things done.
Yeah.
But I think things started to click as I just continued to work at it. You know, I was able to do a really lot of cool things before even getting to school, and getting to school felt like a reset. It was like, okay, we're going to have to bide our time. We're going to have to get better. And when I turn 21, I will be able to DJ at a higher level. So it was like, find somewhere I can play. That I started playing for this fraternity. You know, I was practicing all the time at home. I was making music in my room all the time. Just putting in the hours. You know, people talk about putting in your 10,000 hours, your 100, that whatever.
10,000. Yeah.
Yes, 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I did. I think like after putting in that time, things really started to pick up.
Yeah, and a lot of things just kind of click for you the more you do them. You know, you expose yourself more to things you can get better at, and just how you can evolve, and then things naturally pick up, whether it's like through your DJing or, you know, like I know you started live streaming and Twitch streaming and playing video games. Like that's like a cool way to like decompress while also maintain a community, you know.
Exactly.
If you start off with 10 people watching and then those 10 people tell 10 people, you know how it goes. But like it's just more so those ways of evolving yourself and as a brand, and how like as a, so I know we've talked a little bit over the months, and you've really been trying to change your brand and like evolve it. What's super important to you when it comes to like who people think Martin is?
You know, I don't know. I don't think I actually care what people think. You know?
Yeah.
My biggest goal with who I am, my brand, and my artistry is authenticity. I'm going to show you who I am, but I don't need you to understand. You know, a brand is what you're pushing out and how people are perceiving it over time. So, you know, I might push something out and you might perceive it not the way I want you to perceive it, but like that's okay, you know, like we'll figure it out eventually. I really put myself into everything I do, you know, like I love Let It Rock. I love Beauty and a Beat. I love I don't know, I love bright colors. I like vibrant aesthetics. I'm nuanced. I'm deeper. You know, I hope that those things do get put across, but I don't necessarily concern myself too much with how people are perceiving it. Like, I want people to feel good off what's happening, and I want them to like be able to take something from it. But you know, at the end of the day, like I'm creating for me, and I want people to then be able to take something from that for themselves. And so if it's not exactly what I want them to, that's okay. As long as they're able to take something from it, that's all that matters. I think all great artists and creatives need to make things for themselves, because that is the only way you can be the most authentic and the most genuine with what you're putting out.
Man, spitting bars over here. I agree. And I think one of the hardest things for someone like yourself or myself or anyone who does anything over a long period of time, like you said, branding and building your name, is the beginning part when you're getting the ridicule, you're getting shit talked. Like I know for a fact, like today, like I said before, like one of the hardest things when building a brand, you know, your longevity, your name, is like dealing with the shit talk, dealing with the criticism in the beginning, because no one understands you yet.
Yeah.
I still have people, I actually just saw it the other day, I still have people like in my hometown that like use me as a part of their punishment and fantasy. Like I had like these group of kids that I grew up like in the same neighborhood as them. One of the kids posted my schedule on his story with like fire emojis, and like I'm not even afraid to like to say it. Like, so he posted his schedule with fire emojis, and I was like, oh, I know this kid, like he's one of like the shit talkers, whatever. And he was with all of his boys for a draft that day, and I was gonna hit him up and be like, yo, so I assume you lost this year. Like, and one of the funny things is like when you're in the beginning stages and you're building your name and you're still evolving, you don't know where you're going yet. You're just trying to throw shit at the wall, see what sticks. You know, to see yourself get to a point where you kind of become undeniable, and like to kind of leave people with like not anything to say, I think it says a lot about how much you love the game. Yeah. And I know, because I know we got into it a little bit when we were on our way to Hoboken. Is there any type of like struggles or criticisms you may have dealt with in the beginning of your career that led you to like being the exact thing you just said, like not caring, like doing what you love?
Yes. So much. I started making like music in middle school, dude. I like I had this ongoing rap beef with a kid in middle school, and we were putting out diss tracks back and forth.
Kendrick and Drake type shit.
It feels like that. No, and that's funny. It was so silly in retrospect, but like we were taking it serious. Like I think the bars were there, like on both sides, and it was such a funny back and forth. But like, you know, I was doing stuff then, and like people were half giving shit, half like this is kind of great. Yeah. But you know, I think any entertainment in middle school is gonna.
It's a classic.
It's classic. When I got to high school, I started DJing, and like, I don't know why I got so much flack for it, but like, it was like okay. And I don't know. I just kind of hit this breaking point where I was like, I don't care what people think. Like, I'm doing what I want to do. And there's one specific memory that really sticks with me. I was in the auditorium, and I was just like chilling, and there's this like younger kid who was just like, oh, DJ so-and-so, what's going on? I'm like, I'm chilling. How are you? Yeah. And he's like, I'm good. Like, so I'm just curious. Like, what's the most you've made DJ? And I don't know, I was in the mood. So I was like, X amount. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's just like, I thought people like made fun of you because you're not good. I was like, no, they make fun of me because I'm doing what I want and they're not. And they don't know how to compartmentalize that. And, you know, it's funny I was able to say that with such weight and gravitas at that time. But, you know, like looking back and thinking about it, it's like, yeah, that's the truth. You know, people are going to talk down on you and look down on you because you're taking the risk and doing things you want that they would never. Like, I don't know if it's the greatest example is what came to my head, but like High School Musical 1, like the basketball player wants to frickin' cook, the basketball player wants to be in a play, and everyone's like, what the it's like, I think people get stuck in like, oh, you have to do this, you have to be this way, and it's like, you know, like we're supposed to be growing at that time. We're supposed to be figuring out what we want. I think because people get trapped in this, like, these boxes, like, that's why people don't figure out what they want to do till they're like 30. Right. Is because like you're not going out and trying things. You're not being risky. You're not like, we're supposed to be living and figuring out what we want to do with our life. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. That's definitely the mark moment. Yeah. Like for me.
Yeah. That's the hardest part about growing up is figuring out what you want to do, and also like understanding that sometimes like you do get that spark of like inspiration and you're like, oh, like this is what I want to do, but you're just scared of what people are going to think. And you know, seeing it kind of come to fruition now for yourself, is there anything that like you would, one, change, and two, is there anything you would say to like a young kid who's like in high school, kind of figuring his shit out, not really sure, wants to take a few chances here and there, is there anything you would say to someone who like wants to take a chance on themselves?
If you want to take a chance on yourself, do it. Period. Do not, especially when you're young. Majority of the people that are around you don't matter. Like, especially in high school, because that's what you're talking about. Like, let's see how many of those people matter. You have to take the jump. You just got to do it. That's my thought process. You know, if there's anything in life you're curious about, you want to do, you want to know about, jump in. Please jump in. You're doing yourself a disservice if you do not jump in. Like, jump in, figure it out. You're going to sink or you're going to swim. And if you sink, guess what? You're going to get back up and you're going to swim again.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of like taking risks and taking chances. Like, you have, if you don't love, let's say, for example, if you don't love playing basketball, you can always try something else. Or if you don't love music, you can always try something else. Like, that's the beauty of like the world we live in, and the you know, the, like I said, the world we do live in. And so transitioning into, obviously you're very busy. You have an amazing career. You do a lot of travel. We'll get into that in a second. When it comes to family, one, what kind of family do you have? And two, like, how do you maintain connectivity with your family? That's like a huge struggle I've been having, is like, you know, because you want to hustle, you want to grind and do all this shit, but then it's like sometimes you need to just like turn it off for a bit. So like, how are you able to like turn it off, and how do you connect with like your family?
It's not easy. It's not easy. I think especially in the life we live, like we're running around 25/8. I try to call my mom minimum once a week. I try to call my dad as much as possible. I really try to be there for my family. Right now, like, we have a lot of stuff going on, and I'm just doing what I can to be there, while balancing everything else. But, you know, like right now, I've really been focused on trying to get a residency in Toronto, Canada, because I want to be there for my mom's side of the family a lot more, and that has been like my sole focus. I have a lot of things I focus on, but like that is my number one priority, is getting to Toronto, Canada, as much as possible to be with my family. Yeah.
Would you ever could you ever see yourself like living there eventually?
No, I don't know. I would. If I had all the money in the world, I'd have a house there. I don't think I would live there. I don't know. It's like such a big question. Like, where do you want to like live for the rest of your life?
Yeah, you don't have to know. No one really knows that. That's not really like no one really knows that at this point. I mean, I'm sure I can speak for myself, but I'm sure for you, it's like you're kind of just see what happens.
Yeah.
1 year at a time, 1 day at a time. But yeah. So speaking of travel. And it's something that I really like do respect about what you do, is like you go out and you're present, you show face, you go to these places you want to play at. And to any young DJ who wants to learn, you know, I'm sure you get asked a million times, like, I guess, you know, people just fucking show up, like be present, go to places you want to play at. And my advice, or my question to you is, when you're going out to show up to these places, what's your, so obviously your goal is to connect and build a network, but when you're at these places, like what have been some of your favorite places you've been at?
Favorite places I've been at?
Sorry, Martin, I didn't prep you for.
There was zero prep. This is all live on this.
We dig deep on the loft, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. This is like a thing where I would like literally look at my notes. It's like when someone's like, "Oh, who's your favorite artist right now?" and you open your Spotify to go to your current playlist.
I hate that question. I can't.
Oh my God.
I won't even answer it.
I don't know. I don't want to say I love every place. I have so much fun. I think for me, I love new places. Just on the road. I love the idea of playing for new people. There is something about there not being expectation
Mm-hmm.
that brings me so much joy, because I know I can blow the roof off the place.
Yeah.
Like without like, and no one knows it's going to be that good.
Yeah.
They know they're going to have a good night. They don't know how good the night's going to get.
Yeah.
And that's like something I thrive off of. It's so much fun.
Energy
Yeah.
is energy is everything, in my opinion.
100%.
It can turn a song from a 4 to an 8, real quick.
Yeah.
If the guy that's playing it is showing how much they love it, the people will vibe off of that. I know you know that, because I've seen you play. I've seen your sets.
Yeah.
So let me ask this as well. So obviously, you're hustle and dedicated. As a DJ, you're going all in.
Mm-hmm.
When you aren't DJing, what are some things you enjoy? What are some things you like to do that kind of allow you to turn your brain off?
Naps.
No. It's essential, by the way.
It's funny. Like I live this life to such a high degree. Like when I'm not out working, I'm in working. I'm making music all the time right now. I've never been so creatively lit up in my life, and it's been so exciting. I've been reading the Rick Rubin book on creativity, and I feel like something was unlocked, and it just like everything kind of just comes to me, and I'm able to put it on paper, pen, Ableton. It's I make music. That's my thing. It gives me so much joy. Besides that, I love TV and film. I don't get to do it as much as I want to now, but I love just watching a good show. I love checking out films. That's most of my time. That, and I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
I love food. I went to Soraya yesterday on a whim.
How was that? Good time?
It was so good. We have a ton of leftovers.
Let's go. Is there anything you like to do, kind of like spur of the moment? Like for me, I used to go to the movies every Tuesday by myself. That's like
that's awesome.
That was like my favorite thing in the world, bro. I would go to movies, just sitting there, go see 2 or 3 of them in a day. Like, yeah. Is there anything kind of like that where like sometimes you're just like on a whim and you're just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna go do this? Is there anything you've done like that? Or?
Dude, that's my dream. I remember when they had the AMC like Stubbs card, and you get like the 3 movies and all that.
Yeah.
I wanted that so bad. I was like, that sounds amazing, to just go to the theater and see all these, especially because like I feel like there was a time where I was like, I want to see every film that's coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not really like that anymore.
It's not.
It's not. It all comes down to, I think a lot of that comes down to the studios, budget. Like Netflix films are just made differently. Like they're like streaming and shit. But that's a whole different podcast.
I think, and maybe I'm gonna dig down a road, but I think big budget media is creatively depleted. So, like these big record labels like are pushing these things that are not as good. These movie studios are doing the same thing or not really doing something great. I think things are creatively depleted right now, and I think we're going to see a wave of new things come in. I mean, I think we're already seeing some aspects of it this summer, but I think we're going to see a lot of change happen. I think it's going to be for the better. I think we're going to have a lot of great things soon.
Yeah, change is always good. Change is always good. Is there a kind of transitioning into change? Because I feel like a lot of people, most people always have a moment in their life that significantly changes the course of it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've went through, or any decisions you made, or anything you've had in your life where you're just like, yo, like this is like a new direction for me that I need to go?
It was after my 18th birthday. I just lost my train of thought.
There you go. So so you were saying pretty much when you're 18. So I can give you, because I'm really curious about it. I can kind of give you mine. So like probably around 2022. I had like a social media job with a nonprofit. It was a salary job, benefits and all that, but I wasn't like fulfilled. And I still DJ'd, but it wasn't as much. So like I would DJ Sunday nights, get hammered, and I would miss some meetings on Mondays.
Oh man.
And so one day it was all work from home, which is crazy, the fact that I couldn't even make those meetings. Because for me, I'm someone that like when I'm not motivated, it's really hard for me to get into it.
Yeah.
So I had a meeting with them. But long story short, I got fired. And so like my first instinct was like, okay, like I have this place, I still have bills to pay, still got all these things to do, and I didn't really have a direction in my life at that point. So my first instinct was to sit down here and sit in front of the camera. And I made a podcast talking about how this podcast saved my life. And I was just able to like talk myself through these things about what I wanted and the path I really wanted to go. And the path that I ended up choosing kind of chose me was like just DJing. So I was able to like, from that point on, I made that conscious decision to go full time with it. And obviously, through doing things all in, you kind of find new opportunities just from your curiosity, your hustle and everything, which is what I've been seeing you do. Yeah. And that's why I ask you this question, is because I'm curious as to what any moments in your life that really altered where it was going to go.
When I was 18, I had a pretty intense breakup, and I was having a really difficult time with that, and I ended up just like my creative juices were flying off the walls. I was like writing down things all the time, like, and I don't know, like when I kind of got to the other side of that, I just knew that I had to be a creative full force. I always try to do it to the highest degree. When COVID hit, like it was right at the end of my senior year, which was honestly a blessing, because I don't think at that time I knew how I was going to make enough money, but I knew I wasn't going to go apply for a job. That was not in my vision. And having to go home, just being able to spend time with family is amazing. Yep. It's a time we wouldn't have had otherwise. Yep. But it gave me the time to really readjust myself and like make more and just create and like figure out what I wanted to do. I had an opportunity to help open a recording studio in Philly. I did that for a bit, and then they had budget cuts and they let me go, and that was like one of the best things that could have happened for me, because although I didn't know where the next thing was going to come from, I was already in a mind state where I was like, well, I'm gonna figure it out. I remember my roommate's like, oh, so like you like move home, and I was like, no. Yeah. Why would I do that? Yeah. I'm gonna figure it out. Like, what? Like, I don't know. I was like, what a mindset to give up at the first set of adversity. There's so much failure in success. There's so much failure within success, and you have to keep going. And so I was very lucky that my keep going kept me going, and it has gotten me to this point. It's a little bit of a what answer, but that's the truth.
No, it makes sense, and like it's because I firmly believe we're creatures of survival, and no matter what, we're going to adjust. Like, I would go out to Kensington for the Grace Project stuff, and when I was out there, you would see people just are still surviving. They're still out there. They're in horrible conditions, but they're still out there. A lot of it is when you're pursuing something, it's not supposed to be easy, like we all know. Yeah. And a lot of it is learning through your failures, learning through your losses, and that's what ultimately turns them into successes. Like, it's the consistency of learning that ultimately gets you to where you are today. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like, okay, I didn't get this gig or I lost this or whatever. It's like, it doesn't mean it's over. It's just like, okay, like life's asking you, how are you going to move on? How are you going to learn from this? Yeah. How are you going to move on from this? And I think that's a really important lesson. It is kind of a shame though, because you do see a lot of people who give up at the first sign of adversity. You know what I mean?
And it sucks, you know. It's this one image I keep seeing on my timeline. It's the guy who's like digging for gold.
That's my favorite one.
Right? And he's pooped and he stops like a foot from the gold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, I think you hear it from a lot of very successful people, but it's like the only way you lose is when you give up.
Yeah.
Because no matter, like, if you just keep going, something's going to give at some point.
Yep. Yeah. The consistency. Consistency breeds everything, in my opinion. And then it, you know, leads to opportunities and all that stuff. What's your goal? Like do you have I don't like to give complete long-term plans because everything changes.
Yeah.
But do you have a 5-year plan? Is there something that you have like written down somewhere, or something in your head that you're like, yeah, when I reach this, I'll know that, like, okay, this is the one of my milestones?
You know, I'm very happy you worded it that way, because I was literally having a conversation earlier this morning, and they're like, what is success to you? And I was like, you're not going to like my answer, but I think my answer is correct. And it's that, you know, success is showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's literally showing up. I mean, I get to do what I love every day. I'm already living in success. So I'm really glad you said milestone, to be specific.
Yeah.
You know, for me, the first milestone on my mind is just putting out the music that I love. I'm very far along in the process, and I wish I could just put stuff out today, which I could, but I want to do it correctly. So I think a real milestone for me is just going to be putting that out, you know, getting my first 1 million streams, you know, getting to my first album. You know, I have some pretty lofty goals, and I know I will achieve them. But yeah, you know, I think the thing I'm most excited about is the music I'm creating and being able to effectively share that and the full scope of my brand with the world.
Yeah, I love that answer, and that's why I frame it that way. You know, a lot of times you get asked, "What's your goal?" I'm like, honestly, dude, like, just to be consistent. It's as simple as that. Be consistent, because like, shit changes, shit happens. You find opportunities you would have never expected before. You know, things happen, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I like that, and I like that you said that, because it's the answer people don't want, but it's answer people need. Yeah. You know, where it's like, because a lot of times you get young guys who want to be like, yo, how did you do this? How did you do that? It's like, dude, I just kept going. Yeah. You didn't stop. kept going. It's that simple. And you put in the work. You know,
100%.
The things that I notice about you is you put in the work. You're going to see people. You're going to visit. You're going to sit, and you're working on new edits, remixes, and shit like that. And so I want to translate that into my next question is, like, when you're working on original music, I know you haven't put much out yet.
Nah, yeah.
Is there anything that that you look for that inspires you to, like, to trying to find a way to say it? But is there anything that you like, a topic you like to hit on when you're putting out music?
No, I just, you know, live life.
See what the vibes are.
Yeah, you know, another tidbit I'd like to drop off, you know, when I was in the teen clubs, like, promoting, and I started, like, talking to, like, the DJs there, and I was like, hey, like, you know, how did you do this? How'd you find this? Like, I didn't know about SoundCloud yet or anything like that. So I'm like, oh, where are you finding this music? Blah, 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 blah. What's a record pool? I didn't know what a record pool is, but I'm just saying, like, yeah. And he said to me, figure it out. And, like, I genuinely believe he was just being a jerk, but it was actually the best advice, because at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, you're just gonna have to figure it out.
Yep.
Especially in today's age, like, we have access to so much. Like, you could really figure it out and find someone else to tell you. Yeah, exactly. To be honest. But, you know, I lost my train of thought.
I like exactly where you were going with that. No, you're good, bro. So, like, I think it is true. You know, having someone tell you to figure it out. You know, it's like, that is the only way to do it, because a lot of people want the answers. They want the quick speed way to do it. There just isn't. You
There's
know,
not.
you got to build relationships, be present, and just find what you love to do and just double down on it. You know what I mean? Just find it, like, go in on it and see where it takes you, bro. It's like, what are you most proud of about your journey so far?
Mm-hmm.
With everything you've been doing? And like I said, I know you have a long way to go. But what are you most proud of so far?
What I'm most proud of so far is that I've been able to create something special off authenticity, off being kind to people, off, listening, off, I don't know, just, I'm very proud of what I've been able to accomplish. Even just on DJing, like, to be able to walk into a room and, like, be able to light people up, to have the opportunity, I always say, like, we are so lucky because in any aspect, like, you could just be at this bar down the street, club down the street, like, there's someone in there that is going out for the first time in however long because they need to. And I think there's something so special about that, and it is such a real honor to be able to spearhead, hopefully giving someone a night they need, deserve, or just want to have.
Yeah, I like that. That's you don't really think of it that way a lot of times. A lot of people don't think of everyone else. A lot of times in entertainment, sometimes you think about, like, with yourself, how do I look or whatever. A lot of times sometimes people just need that shit. They need to go out, they need to enjoy themselves, and that's like the beauty of being a DJ is, like, when you really think down, it's like, why are people going out? Why are they going to, whether they're drinking water or drinking the most expensive bottle there, it's like, why are they going out? And there's always a reason behind it, and being able to give someone an experience that, like, they can take with them. It's just at the end of the day, playing music and having fun and giving people and making the venue money. You know what I mean? And it's a really cool perspective I never truly thought of before. Just because you just don't think about it. You think about how's the set gonna go, how's the set going, people having fun, but you don't really think, like, why the people are there. Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing. And I also, really quick, while we were talking, I kind of want to hit on this as well. Like, I want to know, do you have any, like, influences like that, like, have really molded you, whether it's from afar, up close? Is there any influences in your life that have really helped mold you into who you want to be?
I definitely have a couple.
Yeah.
I think, for one, my mom is the kindest human being on earth, but the hardest working person on earth. When I was growing up, everyone would be like, your mom is incredible. She's the best. Yeah. I'm like, I know, I live with her.
It's literally my mom.
but yeah, like, like, you know this as well. Like, you've had just people left and right, like, freaking, like, your teacher even tells you, like, it's like, and it's like, but it's true, like, my mom, she is such a good person. She's always willing to help, and she always works to the hardest ability she could. And, I think there's no better role model than that. So I think that's really influenced how I've been. And then, like, I don't know, there's just a lot of, like, creatives, like, in the world that I look up to, like, especially, like, Tyler, the Creator, Donald Glover, and, like, the late Chadwick Boseman. I think not only, like, how they are as creatives, but how they carry themselves and how they interact with people. It's just something that I've really been able to, like, internalize, and, like, it shows me how I want to be.
Is there, and those are three great examples, and I'm very curious because I know Gambino from his music. I know Tyler, the Creator, from his personality and some of his music. And obviously Boseman from his amazing acting in Black Panther, but, like, I haven't been able to take a deep dive into them. What sticks out to you with these guys, and why do you find them as influences?
So, for one, I've been on such a deep dive kick. I'm watching every interview. I am really trying to understand. I want to really, like, I want to get in their shoes as much as possible, and like not in like a weird way, but like what knowledge can I take? How can I can like take this for me to be better me. Tyler, for instance, he is so unapologetically himself, and he's such a student. He's a true student. He loves music so much, and there's so much passion. It's like a ridiculous amount of passion. There's no one as passionate in, I think, the music scene as Tyler.
Really? The
way he talks about music, and like how much his growth has been throughout his over a decade in industry. It's something really inspiring to look at. Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, from his music to his movies to his TV shows, like everything he's done, he does with such a great lens. He's a world creator. And I think there's something to be said about creating a world that people can live in. Creating a world people can live in creates community. Community can save lives. Community can help people through things. And, I just think he's an absolute genius. And then Chadwick Boseman, he has played so many integral and like important roles in films, but what really stood out to me was just like the kindness, he's the one I know the least about, but there's just like, you can just tell he was the most respectful, thoughtful, and caring person. You could you can see it, like, if you just like dig deep, like you can tell like his presence really meant something.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm able to show up like that for the people in my life, and anyone I interact with. If someone happens to be a fan of my work or like love what I'm doing, like I want to be able to be that respectful, and like I want to be like that.
I like that. My favorite part about what you said is the thoughtfulness and kindness part. One of the biggest compliments anyone can get, especially in this industry, is someone saying you're nice, or saying how like you're thoughtful, you're just a good person to like talk to. I truly do. I do take that into my own life as well. Because I'm sure you've had it before, but like you have guys who may not treat you the best because of a certain status they think they have.
Yeah.
It kind of like puts things in perspective for you. The one thing I tell myself every single day is the people you meet on the way up are the same people you meet on the way down. And I think it's something that really stuck with me when it was said to me. And ever since then, I look at that lens, and I look at life like that. And I love what you said about the world creating too. I think that's like an aspect that kind of gets slept on a little bit, is that when you can create a world someone can live in, that's where growth really comes from. Because you kind of said before, community. I love that. I love that. And I think it's a really great lineup of people. And also the reasoning I think was nice. And I was truly able to take something from that. Because a lot of times you have people who have influences, and they're like, oh, like, why do you love someone? Oh, because their songs are good. But it's like, no, what kind of person are they? Mm-hmm. I think that's what I'm going to challenge myself to start looking at as well when it comes to influences, because I probably couldn't even really answer that question.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought of it like that.
I think, there's a saying, and it was like, I'm going to butcher it. Look at the people around you, I can tell who you are. I think I picked those influences for a reason. But excuse me.
You're good.
It was it was my birthday, not recently, but it was my birthday, and I had a recent close friend. He came to the birthday, and he was just like, so who are all these people to you? And I told him, I was like, you know, this person has always been here for me. He's really reliable. He is the kindest person on earth. He will do X, Y, and Z for anyone. But, you know, like, the real thing about him is that he's this and this. And I was really like, I gave a character analysis on each person. And he said, you know, it's so interesting that rather than you just say, oh, I know him from high school. Oh, we met in college. You went into detail on their characters. And that made it more special to be at this meal, because now I know that you consider me this highly because of how highly you described everyone else. And I don't know, I think it's very important to, like, really not analyze, but I think knowing who you are, knowing who the people are around you, and, like, I don't know, I think there's something very special about being able to say, like, hey, like, my guys are fucking great. They're fucking great. Yeah. Like, and I don't know. That's the way I think, at least.
Well, you do have to analyze, because at the end of the day, the people you surround yourself with they dictate your energy. You know, you got people, if you're surrounded by people who take, it takes away from you. You know, so having people in your life, and to me, wish I kind of knew this back then. I think I did, but you don't really think of it when you're younger. Yeah. I think friendship is timeless. It doesn't matter how long you've been friends. It matters the quality of the person. Because kind of like you mentioned before, like, who you surround yourself with is who you are. And also, too, you want to surround yourself with people that are going to, one, challenge you. Two, who also are doing their own thing. Because you want to be around people who are going to inspire you and motivate you and all that stuff. And being able to, identify someone as character rather than maybe what they've done for you, or maybe how long they've been in your life, I think is a super important thing to think about moving forward. I know, like, just even for, like I said, for a lot of these things I take in myself as well. That's why I love doing this, is because I'm able to learn something new every day, and I'm able to learn a lot from you and everything. And that's it's important, you know, having good people in your life, and people that are going to challenge you, and people that are just going to be there for you. Yeah, 100%. You know, people who understand you. You know, what's your circle like looking like now, and how are you feeling currently, like, in the current, like, your life currently? How you feeling?
You know, this isn't current, but I like to share this because it came to my mind, and I think it could help someone. You know, I had times where it was hard to find the right circle, and I remember when I did find the right circle, like, we were all very we're all, like, trying to push to become better. We're all trying to come better together, and, like, we spent so much time together. It was so beautiful. And then everyone got super busy, and, like, we're still all for each other. But it got harder to see each other, and I got really sad. And then it hit me one day. I was like, we accomplished what we wanted to do. Like, everyone is doing well. Everyone is, like, working, and, like, hey, like, we still see each other. We still talk all the time. It's not every day, which, like, I think as we grow up, like, you know, you figure that out. It's like, oh, we can't hang out every day anymore. Yeah. We're not kids, unfortunately. But I was so happy about that. You know, my circle is dope. We're all over, which is, like, not the greatest.
Blessing and a curse, yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse. I wish we could all be together all the time. There's a specific frame of time where, like, all my friends were, like, in one place for the most part. I have this one of my best friend. He, like, used to visit me all the time. Now, like, we try and figure it out. I mean, I'm actually seeing him today, so I'm pumped about that. Yeah, I got a little drive coming up after this. But, you know, I'm very blessed to have these people in my life that care about me as much as I care about them.
Yeah. Are they friends from your childhood? Are they
all over the place? My best friend, we met in high school. I moved a lot, so that's like it's tough. Like even like my best friends from youth, like we still keep in touch, but like it's not brotherhood.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but my best friend in particular, he is funny. We were in school together, and we were both in bands. So like, because of the way they do things, like you would, even if you're a younger student, you get like an early lunch because the second half is band. It's like a whole thing. And so we were always hanging out in the band room before like we actually like did anything. And I don't even know how we got close. We just got close. Like we went to football games together and like just like became homies. And I don't know, like that's my brother. Love that man to death, and I'm like so grateful I have someone like as intelligent and as thoughtful and just like, and I don't think that word applies there. He is such a great human being, and he's like one of the most intelligent people on this earth.
Yeah. It's good to have in your corner for sure. The reason why I asked that, because I mean, I have a lot of core friends that I grew up with. My friend Matt, my buddy Cook, Eddie, and all them. Like, we grew up together, played basketball, at our grade school parking lot. We did all those things, and then as you get older, you grow apart, and it's like not like like I got invited to my buddy's wedding next year, but I'm DJing, so but I'll be going to the after party for sure. But it's a beautiful thing where you guys are super close because you needed each other. And then eventually you do, they get fiancés, they get girlfriends, they get houses, they get the job, the whole nine, the usual growing up thing. But a lot of times I would think of it as like a sad thing, but eventually you kind of come to grips and you have conversations like this where you kind of think, okay, like we're still living our lives, but if we saw each other the next day, it's like,
you just keep going.
Yeah. And something I have for you, a question is like, when you're, so obviously a lot of our lives are centered around the weekends, right? So you having people that you kind of rely on people supporting you when you're playing. Is there anything you do so trying to frame it this way, a lot of your life is centered around the weekends and centered around your friends coming to see you play. Is there anything that you think about, like people, a lot of people will come out and see me, but like, how can I show out for them? How can I support them? Is there anything that like you've kind of maybe told yourself, or anything you do, anything you practice to like kind of show people that you're there for them too?
I try to take care of whoever I can. I am a master of the birthday. I know everybody's birthday. I make it a point to, I reached out so basically, he went to my high school. He also went to my college, and I just reached out to him out of the blue because it was his birthday, and he's like, dude, I'm just so happy you reached out. And it's like, it's those small little things, some people don't care about birthdays. Some people are like, oh, like it's weird to celebrate, but I'm like, it's the one day that's like, it gets to be your day. So like, if that's the day, like someone that you wish you had heard from reaches out, that's something nice. And it's, I don't know, I think like some people just don't want people to have nice things. And so like for me, it's like, wish everyone a happy birthday. Like if I'm ever able to like hook some up with something or like make it special, I've kept this story to myself for a very long time. I hope, I'm gonna make sure this is okay to share, and you might have to cut it out. Well, hopefully not.
That's fine.
Hopefully not. But there's a good friend of mine. I would say at the time we were on more of an acquaintance level. He was going through a very difficult time in his life. He was just depressed, suicidal, and he did not know. I don't know. He was not in a good place, and I had invited him out to one of my residencies. I was like, "Hey man, it's your birthday. Like, come out. First bottle's on me. Like come out." And you know, I think he was just having a rough weekend, and you know, he came out, and I didn't know any of this. He told me this later, but I stopped the music and I made everyone sing happy birthday to him. And he said in that moment, he looked around, he saw the people that he was actually with, that were with him, that came with him all weekend, that really cared. And like, it's, he was like, I haven't never been depressed like that since. And that, like, that moment was a game changer for me. And, you know, that was when he told me that, it just kind of it reaffirmed everything I believe. It reaffirmed it. You know, I said earlier, like, you never know who's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when he told me that, it was such a beautiful thing, because I just was like, well, thank God, of course. But I was just so happy to know, like, these things I do matter. These things I do, like, I'm not crazy to think that one song can change someone's day. One action can, like, you're dealing with people. You don't know what you're doing, how that can affect people. And so that's why I show up every time. Like, that reminder, is why I do what I do.
It's beautiful, bro. I love that. And yeah, it's one of the really cool things about what you do and what we do and why we go out. Kind of leads everything you just said. And it's like, there's no follow up to that, because like, that was, like I said, like, I love everything I love that shit so much. I love the intentions of doing things, and you know, having someone, one, be present, and two, you showing them intention. And because you don't know what people are going through, you don't know. A lot of time, we'll get into this in a second, but a lot of times you just don't know. And I love that the way you go about life is through, I'm just gonna be the most authentic and best person I can be, and let life kind of take care of itself. Because I'm sure a part of that night saved your friend's life. You already said you changed it. You already said that he hasn't really been depressed like that since. You know, I think it's beautiful, because you've dedicated an entire moment to him, which he may have never felt like he had in his entire life. You know, a lot of times people go out throughout life and thinking like, oh, like, what about, you know, a lot of times people help people, right? A lot of times you give and you give and you give, and sometimes you kind of, not selfishly, but just naturally, you think, when am I going to get something? You know, and something as small as that, a small gesture for you could have been huge for him. It could have been that moment that he was looking for, which, so you have like my utmost respect for that. One of the things that I really like to, that I've been thinking about recently, is like the whole, you know, Sketch from like online, like he's got a TikToker personality, Sketch. Yeah. So he got leaked online for some of the things he did in his past. And it was crazy because obviously the story was crazy in itself. Basically got some stuff leaked about him, of him doing things in his past that he wasn't proud of. And instead of antagonizing him, the community kind of gathered around him and supported him. And he was staying at this place called the FaZe House, right? The gaming guy, FaZe Banks. And so Sketch left the house in the middle of the night and was saying pretty much like, I can't believe this happened. I'm so sorry to you guys. I put this burden on you, because he was living with them. And, you know, social media goes, you associate with someone, blah, blah, blah. Banks said, dude, get the fuck back here. Like, you're fine. Like, no one gives a shit. Sketch was leaving to go kill himself that night. 100%. Jesus. Absolutely. 100% was leaving to go kill himself. And having someone like yourself, taking that specific moment with full intention, cutting the music, which is like a cardinal sin of any set, a cardinal sin of any set. Taking that intention and showing, hey, listen, like, I see you, I think that's a lot. Kind of makes you rethink of like about what we do. Kind of makes you more excited to go out to your next set, because like, all right, like this intention, who's shout out all the birthdays, this shit like that. Like, it makes it cool. Kind of like I said, you kind of give new perspective to what we do, which I really appreciate. And also just appreciate like what you did for your friend. A lot of times, shit like that can go, unnoticed. But I respect that a lot about you. I think it's really cool.
I'm just grateful he told me, man. It was like, I think a lot of the time, we don't know what our impact is, and like I think every once in a while it's good to know. I hope there's been other nights that I've been able to help like that, but even just knowing that at least once I've done that, like that's what matters. Is like, if you can affect one person, you've done something amazing, and that's all I can ask for, is that I can help another person out.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And when it comes to, you're kind of right, because you are right. When you're hustling and doing your thing, you kind of just put your head down and work. Like, I know you. I feel like I've seen you enough to where I know you work your ass off. You put your head down, and whatever happens. And sometimes it is to know your impact is like marked. And one of the moment that I had probably a year or two ago, it was like I was down the shore, and this woman came up to me who I never met. I was like, oh, like, you're the kid with like the podcast, right? I was like, yeah. She's like, well, like, it's like her son passed away from an overdose, years, probably like the Christmas before, and was saying that she would listen to my podcast to like go to sleep. And to me, that was like the craziest, like, holy shit moment for me, because I'm like, oh wow, like, this is like, we do mean something. It's like, it kind of puts life into perspective for you, and sometimes, like, it's good to know that, and it's good to like kind of get reinvigorated with what you do, because a lot of times, I mean, you're busy as shit too. Like, it's like you kind of you're busy all the time, and it's like you don't really know what your impact is, or you don't really know. Sometimes you don't even know what your purpose is, to be honest with you. You kind of get lost in that. And is there ever a time where, I guess we can ask before, so do you feel like you know what your purpose is now? If not, do you think you're on the right path?
I believe I know what my purpose is. I believe I'm on the right path. I believe I have a lot more work to do, but I'm excited about that work, and I could not be more elated for what is coming.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Martin, I really appreciate you coming on the pod, bro. It was great. We ended up going a lot longer than
good.
Yeah, I love that. Dude, that was a great time. And we're gonna do many more of these, bro. Like, we'll do check-ins. Like, I look at these podcasts as like time capsules. In the beginning, I like to learn about who you are, kind of what your why is, and then, and then eventually it just leads into more of like, just more stuff to talk about, because you got a lot more to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I hope you enjoyed this experience. I had a great time, and I would like to end off with something. I kind of hinted at it before, but with this conversation that we had, is there anything that like is there any piece of advice you would give to someone who, is, like I said, kind of said before, like looking for their purpose in life? Is there anything you would say to them to help them get to where they want to go?
Yes. If you're struggling to find where you want to go, look into yourself. Look into what you love. If you're struggling to find it, go out. Try anything. Try everything. Meet and talk to as many people as possible. I have a good friend. I don't remember a lot of the details, but she always wanted to go on a hot air balloon. And she went to this festival, and the weather was like shit. But she's like, well, I'm already here. So she started talking to people, and this one woman at the hot air balloon festival was like, hey, You know, there was someone who had like a similar situation. You know, they ended up, they just loved it, and then all of a sudden they like dropped their job, and now they have a hot air balloon company. And she was like, she like took that and she's like, you know what, like that could be, maybe that's like what it could be. You know, if you don't go out and explore things, you'll never figure out what you're meant to do. Like, you know, she has a dope job, but like if she wants to go into hot air balloons, like go into hot air balloons.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it is true though too. Like you can, you know, you can do whatever you want, obviously with reason, but it's also, you never work a day in your life if you love what you do.
Exactly.
You know, I think that's what we're all chasing, and kind of like what you hinted at before. A lot of people are scared to even like come to terms with that. They're scared to like, they're scared to take that leap, and I think that's what it's what defines people from being fulfilled and unfulfilled.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't want you to end it. So,
There you go.
I have a friend from high school. There's like some band. It was like a very different band. I could not tell you who it was or so on and so forth. But he's like, hey, it's in Philly. Would you want to come with me? I love this kid. I'll go anywhere with this kid. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. It was a very interesting show. Like it was at the Electric Factory, which I will not call by any other name. And it was the middle of the show, and he was like, you know what I really like about them? And I was like, what? And he was like, the special thing about them is he was like making YouTube videos, making music for so long, and he really popped up at 35. And it reminds me that it's never too late to start on your dream, and it's never too late. You just got to keep on working. And I was just like, wow. I was like, damn, I didn't know I was going to get this today.
Yeah.
It was so special. I'm so happy that he said that, because I was just like, I mean, the Fillmore is like, not the Fillmore, Electric Factory is like, I could get the number wrong, but it's like a 2,500 capacity room.
Yeah.
So if he's doing that across the country, he's doing pretty well. If he's selling merch in all of those cities, he's doing pretty well. And it's like, for him to, this guy, to start making it at 35, it's like, hey, like, we still all have time to figure shit out.
Yeah.
We all have time to figure shit out.
Yeah. I think about that a lot, bro. Not gonna lie. I'm like, yo, like, when is it too late to like keep going? Like, a lot of times you think about like what isn't it, because everyone tries to put a timer on themselves. And that's why I've been studying a lot of people who have made it later in their life, just because it kind of gives people hope. Like, obviously we're still young, you know what I mean? But like, you look at people who were like, you know, like a Harrison Ford, who didn't really get his first start until he was like 40, you know what I mean? Like people like that. And yeah, I like to look at people like that, because it kind of gives you hope. Like, you have the child prodigies and you have the people who make it later in life, but at the same time, the only thing you can do is stay consistent and let the rest take care of itself. You know 100%. What I mean? So, but we're going to absolutely do another pod soon, 110%. I hope you enjoyed this pod. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Kev Nichols. That's the Renaissance Man, Official Martin, DJ Martin. How you doing?
How you doing?
All right, peace, guys. Peace.